Hey, what's up, everybody? This is David. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So today we're going to do a little bit of everything. We'll start with some breathing exercises. We'll do a standing pose sequence afterward. Once we do some back bends, we're going to build up to one of my favorite arm balances ever, the crooked in 8 places posture. And toward the end of the class, as always, we'll have some guided meditation. So if you will, just go ahead and have a seat on your mat. Find yourself a comfortable position of some type, and then close your eyes for a little bit. And just take the next few moments to pay attention to your breathing patterns. And that's it, nothing special. Just watch your inhale and watch your exhale. Now, any exercise that slows down your exhale is calming for your nervous system. Sometimes slowing the exhale down can be a little challenging. So using exercises like Brahmari pranayama is good training because it makes it easier to elongate the exhale. Now, Brahmari translates as the bee's breath. So for the next few moments, I'm going to have you buzz like a bee repetitively through your nose. We'll all begin together, but as soon as you end one round, begin another one right away so we have one continuous sound. And I'll let you know when to stop. Now, finally, if you will, try to focus on the space between your eyebrows for all these repetitions. So concentrating there. Breathe in as deeply as you can. Return to normal breathing patterns for now, and take the next few moments to focus on your breathing again. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Bring to mind someone you would like to dedicate today's practice to. Send that person some good energy mentally. When you're ready, open up your eyes. So we'll start out with a stretch for your wrists. Turn your thumbs down toward the ground. Cross your left hand over top of right, and with your fingers interlaced, rotate your thumbs toward your face. For the next few moments, just let your wrists twist, which will sort of set the stage for lots of push-ups and arm balance and other things to come. And then release that position. This time, cross your right arm over top of left. With your hands interlaced, rotate your thumbs toward your face. If your hands stop back here somewhere, that is totally okay. Though if you can, try to spin your knuckles up to face the ceiling for a deeper twist. And then releasing that, just give your wrists a little bit of a shake for now. And come to a 4-pointed kneeling position with your shoulders directly above your wrists. Curl your toes under behind you. And then lift your knees off the floor just a little tiny bit. And press your chest back toward your legs to lock out your shoulder joint. Now start to lift your buttocks a little bit higher toward the ceiling. Squeeze your elbows in toward your skull so that your arms feel straight. And then pedal to loosen up your hamstrings and your calves. I think the most important thing to focus on while you're pedaling is that your feet remain parallel. The reason that's important is you have 3 hamstring muscles on the back of each leg. If your heels either spin too far outward or too far inward, you don't stretch all of them as effectively. At the same time, you keep your feet parallel, you get a really great stretch going down in all parts of your calves. Now today we're going to build some additional back strength by going to the low cobra position instead of the down dog. So if you will, take an inhale to initially roll to a plank. As always, you can definitely take your knees to the floor if it helps. This time lower all the way down to your belly with an exhale. With an inhale, lift your hands and your chest and your legs. And then come all the way down from there. Curl your toes under and lift your hips again for the downward facing dog. And looking all the way forward to the front of your mat. Step or jump to land up there. Come up to the tips of your fingers. Bend your knees slightly. Walk your hands way over to your right hand side to stretch your side body. And then wiggle your left fingertips a little further forward till they become even-ish with the right fingers. You can keep your legs bent if you want, or if you want more stretch, just lift your hips higher upwards. And then bend your legs substantially. Walk your hands way over in the other direction. Once you feel some stretch going on your side, wiggle your right fingertips further forward so your right fingertips align with the left. If you left your legs bent last time, stay there. Otherwise, slowly work towards straighter legs and hold the edge. Walk your hands all the way back through center. Bend your legs, and just this first time, use an inhale to roll yourself all the way upwards to standing. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And heel toe your feet all the way together till they're touching, or at least very close to touching. Now use an inhale to sweep your arms outwards and upwards. Grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand, and pull up to elongate your arm, and then side bend your torso to the left. As you side bend, look up under your armpit toward the ceiling, and try to take a few rounds of slow breath. Roots down through your right foot. Use an inhale to come all the way up, and grab a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Pull up to that side, feels nice and long, and then side bend your torso over to the right. Look up and under your armpit toward the ceiling. Try to squish the mat under your left foot so you're anchored in the base. Use your next inhale to come out of that, and then forward fold with your exhale, and take both hands all the way down to the ground. This time, bend your legs for the chair. Once you've done so, upward sweep your arms. Then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Rotate to your right side, cross your left elbow completely over your legs, and press your hands together and twist your spine. Rotate the left side of your chest into the right like you're twisting the handle of a screwdriver. And the next time you breathe in, sweep your arms all the way back up. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Switch for the same pose on the other side, and whichever side has not been done. Just press your hands together and rotate your spine. At the same time, slide your hands back a little bit so that your wrists align with your elbows. That'll just give you a little bit more leverage with which to twist. And use an inhale to sweep both arms all the way up. Straighten your legs to stand up tall. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest again. Then this time, use an inhale to sweep your arms upwards and backwards for a back bend. Forward fold with your exhale and take your hands down. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Step your right foot back to a lunge with an exhale. If it feels okay and comfortable, take your knee down, otherwise leave it up. Sweep your arms out to the sides and up. Bring your torso to vertical, and just let your hips sink down toward the front of the mat to stretch your hip flexors out. Press your arms overhead as well as back at the same time. Now, I usually like these sun salutations because you don't have to do any push-ups. So lean forward and plant your hands on the ground. Lift your back knee up, and from there, just step back to a down dog. Lunge your right foot forward for the next round. And take your back knee down to the earth if you did that previously. And then once you've done that, sweep your arms up to the ceiling. Let your hips really sink down as well as forward toward the front of your mat. At the same time, press your arms overhead and back. And this time, just allow a big old back bend as you continue holding out. Now the transition is just a slight bit different. Lean forward and plant your hands on the ground. Lift your back knee upwards. Step all the way forward. Use an inhale to come up to your fingers. Hold a little tighter with your exhale. Use an inhale to sweep all the way up to the top. And join your hands in a prayer at your chest as you exhale. Inhale to sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale to your fingertips. Exhale, high push up, all the way down to your belly. Inhale, lift your chest and your hands and your legs. And then exhale back to the downward facing dog. Bend your knees just a little tiny bit to press your chest close to your legs. Feel free to keep your legs bent like that. Or if you want more stretch, begin straightening your legs by pressing your heels down toward the floor. Once you got to that, a couple deep breaths. And take a look forward. Step or jump up to the front of your mat. Use an inhale to come to your fingers. Fold forward from there with your exhale. Use an inhale to sweep all the way up to the top. Hands to your chest with an exhale. Inhale to sweep your arms up. Forward fold as you breathe out. Up to your fingers on the inhale. High push-up position. All the way down to your belly as you exhale. Hands, chest, and legs lift. Downward facing dog the next time you breathe out. Press out through your hands, down through your heels. And try to keep breathing through your nose over and over again. All right, this time around, take a look forward. Step your left foot forward to your thumb. Turn your rear heel down to the floor and come up to Warrior One. Use an inhale to sweep your arms out to the sides and up. You can certainly leave your hands apart. If you like to interlace your hands, do so. If you interlace, point your index finger up for dramatic effect. Bend your front leg till it burns. Keep your back leg long and straight. As you reach your arms to vertical, gaze up toward your fingertips for now. Now keep your arms extended long and then straighten your leg. Turn your feet to face right toward the long edge of your mat. Repeat Warrior One facing the other direction toward the back of your mat. Once you've bent your right leg, make sure you've spun your left toes in just a little bit so you can really press your heel down to anchor. Back bend a little bit as you reach up through your fingertips. And if possible, gaze up toward your outstretched hand. And from there, straighten out your leg altogether. Turn your feet to face off to the side of your mat. Reach both arms way out to your sideways. And then once there, take a huge step to get back to the front of your mat. This time, bend both legs simultaneously. Touch your fingers to the floor and lift upwards to your chest. Sweep your arms out to the sides and upwards. Then back like the wings of an airplane. Lean forward till your torso gets parallel-ish to the mat. And with your legs still bent, use an inhale to sweep your arms up. Take them back with your exhale. Inhale to sweep them up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Twice more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Sweep them back with your exhale. Back to the chair with an inhale. Forward fold as you exhale. And then lift up to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up all the way down to your belly. Inhale, lift your hands and your chest and your legs. Exhale, return to the downward facing dog. And just use that to redirect focus to your breath. Let your outer body get still and quiet. Just focus on the movements created by your breath as it flows through your body. Now this time take some attention to your right leg. Rock your shoulders forward a little, and then step your right foot forward to your thumbs. Turn your back heel down to the ground, and with an inhale, come up to Warrior Two. Torso faces left, and both arms extend out to the sides of shoulder height. You can stay a little higher up if you like. Otherwise, bend your front leg a bit closer to 90 degrees. For the next few moments, gaze strongly out over the tips of your fingers and breathe. Straighten out your right leg entirely. Turn your feet to face the left side of your mat. And then spinning your left toes backwards, bend your left leg again. If you went deeper, closer to 90 degrees, drop your left sitting bone down toward the floor to get toward that place. Gaze out over the tips of your left fingertips and breathe. Next time you inhale, straighten your leg. Turn your feet to face sideways. Once you've done that, take a large step to get back to the front of your mat. For now, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Close your eyes for the next few moments and just focus on your breath. See if you can make your exhales just slightly longer. Soften your face and your jaw. And then opening your eyes, step back just a little bit so you have about 2 feet worth of space near the front of your mat. Use an inhale to sweep your arms up. Fold forward with your exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Come down to a deep squatting posture with your knees separated out to the sides. For this, you want to really lift up to the tips of your toes. If you would prefer to not practice the crow, walk your hands forward. Let your chest sink down toward your legs and your forehead drop toward the mat. Now, if you're feeling it today and you want to catch some air, walk your hands back and plant them on the floor about shoulder distance apart. Point your elbows out to the sides. Slide your legs onto your uppermost arms. And then leaning some weight forward into your hands, lift your butt. If you can take one foot off the floor, do so. Or potentially both feet so you can hold. Try to keep your eyes locked on something solid on the floor. And then from there, either step back or hop back to the high push-up position. Lower all the way down to your belly. With an inhale, lift your hands, chest, and legs. And then exhale all the way back to the downward facing dog. Now this time, take a look forward and step your right foot up to your hands. Turn your back heel down to the ground. Use an inhale to come up to Warrior Two with your torso facing sideways. Turn your right hand to face up. Reverse the warrior. And once you've done that, just slide your left hand down toward the blade edge of your foot beneath. Bend your right leg substantially. And just keep reaching long through your right fingertips to create length through your side. Use an inhale to come up to Warrior Two. High push up down to the belly with an exhale. Hands, chest, and legs lift. Down dog with your exhale. Step your left foot forward. Turn your back heel to the floor, and then inhale all the way up for Warrior Two again. Turn your left hand up to face the ceiling. Reverse the warrior once you've done that. If you're finding it hard to straighten your uppermost arm, take your arm a little higher away from your head. Just reach through your fingertips and keep your front leg substantially bent. Back up to Warrior Two with an inhale. High push-up position, all the way down to your stomach. Inhale, lift. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now straight away, step your right foot forward. Turn your back heel down to the ground. Come up to your fingertips. Straighten your right leg as much as you can initially. And do your best to square your hips with the mid-front of your mat. Well, it's oftentimes good to stretch your muscle from a few different angles. So bend your right leg, let your chest sink a little closer to your thigh, and then straighten your right leg a little bit at a time. And repeat that a few more times, like you were flossing tension out of your leg. Once your leg has gone completely straight, just sort of pause there. Breathe as deeply as you can. And to stretch that very same leg from your sideways, keep your right fingertips on the floor, turn your right fingertips sideways, and bend your leg if necessary. From there, rotate your chest open to the left. Reach your left arm straight upwards in the air to the ceiling. Rotate your chest open for the triangle stretch. Again, if it's hard to keep your hand on the floor, you can definitely keep your leg bent. Just try to straighten your leg at least a little bit so you feel stretching in the back of your leg. Bend your leg, plant your hands on the floor, lower through the push-up to your belly. Inhale, lifts. Exhale, down dog. Step your left foot all the way forward. Turn your back heel down to the floor. And then straightening out your leg as much as possible. Roll your right hip around and forward toward the front. Lift your chest just a slight bit higher at first. And take a few breaths for your body to get used to that. When your hamstrings feel tight, this flossing thing works really, really well. So bend your leg. As you do that, you'll be able to further press your chest down toward your thigh. And try to maintain that chest on leg contact. Straighten your leg at least a little bit or completely. And keep going back and forth. Bend and then straighten. A few more rounds. Hold this final round. Just make sure you've got some solid stretch going down in the back of your leg. Hold steady and breathe. Now, sometimes it's great to come into the triangle pose with a straight leg. Sometimes it's nice to do it bent. So try that today. Bend your left leg a little bit. Come up to your fingertips and turn your fingers on the left hand sideways. Rotating your chest open to the edge of your mat. Reach your right arm straight upward into the air. Work toward a straighter leg just a little bit at a time. Getting it to go all the way straight can take a little time, so don't worry if it doesn't go completely there. Just do your best and breathe. And then a slightly different transition. Take your hands to the mat. Turn your back heel up. Step all the way forward. Use an inhale to come up to your fingertips. Once you've done that, take your hands back to your waist. Stand all the way up. Take a back bend once you've made it to the top. And then exhale all the way back upwards. And momentarily join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Dancer's pose. Reach your right arm all the way forward. Take your left hand back to capture your left foot. Once you've got it, try to elongate the leg that you're standing on. Kick your back foot gently upward into your hands. And if you like, stay up there. Otherwise, lean forward just a little bit at a time as you maintain some semblance of an upward kick. And try to keep your eyes locked on one solid spot beneath. Use an inhale to come all the way back up. Drop your foot and join your hands together in a prayer. And then extend your other arm forward. Bend your right leg, reach back for the attempted clasp. And try to elongate the leg that you're currently standing on. And give your foot a gentle upward kick. Maintaining all that tension and the straightness in your left leg. Lean forward just a little bit at a time and maintain your upward kick. Use an inhale to come all the way up. Drop your foot, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And for the next few moments, close your eyes and redirect focus to your breath. We just stretch your hamstrings pretty thoroughly, and it's important to stabilize them afterward. So with your next breath in, sweep your arms all the way up. Forward fold with your exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Hop back to the high push-up position. And drop your knees to the floor. And then roll completely over onto your left hip. Take your left elbow down to the ground. And with your feet touching, lift your right knee upward into the air. Now, this is good for your lower back. So press your elbow down to lift your hips. Roll your tail under. And then reach your right arm directly upward in the air to the ceiling. Squeeze your butt muscles as you hold. And try to keep breathing deeply. If you'd like to make it a little harder, lift your right ankle upward in the air. And take everything back down to the ground. Roll completely over onto your other elbow to face the other side of your mat. With your feet touching and your knee lifted, press down through your elbow, lift your hips off of the ground, and if possible, gaze up toward your thumb. Tuck your tail by rolling your tail under to squeeze your bum. And if you're going for the slightly harder variation, lift your left ankle off the top of the right ankle. Try to keep your butt squeezing as you hold. And then take your feet down, let your hips drop back down to the earth. Spin around, straighten your legs to the front of your mat. And once you've done so, reach both arms directly ahead. Roll all the way down your back to lay down on the ground. So bend your legs. Reach forward and attempt to touch your middle fingers to your heels like you would in a bridge pose. Now, once you've done that, slide your feet further forward toward the front of your mat about 6 to 12 inches so that your ankles are ahead of your knees. Squeeze your arms into your sides. Bend your arms to 90 degrees. As you press your elbows down, squeeze your shoulder blades under your body. Now today, press the heel portion of your foot into the floor. Lift your gas pedals off the mat so that the balls of your feet and toes are lifted. Press your elbows into the floor. Upward lift your hips with an inhale and squeeze your butt. Still on your heels, drop down with your exhale. Targeting your hamstrings, inhale to lift. Exhale, drop. Continue at your own rate of speed. Really squeeze at the top. Try to stay on your heels if possible. A couple more rounds with your breath. This final time, upward lift and pause. As you maintain with your hips lifted, just try to keep focusing on your breath. For the moment, let your hips come all the way back down to the floor. Hold your knees, and gently rock up to a full seated position. Plant your hands down near the front of your mat, hop back to the high plank, and drop your knees to the floor. Now, before your back bend, it's always nice to open up flexibility in your middle back and spine, your thoracic spine. So for now, with your shoulders still above your wrists, reach your left arm all the way out to the side, and thread the needle by sweeping your left arm across your midline. Take your shoulder and your head down to the floor there. Press your right hand down to tighten down on the spinal twist. Drive down through your hand to come all the way back up. Once you've sort of settled your hands on the ground again, reach your right arm all the way out to the side. Thread the needle on that side by crossing the arm over. Once your shoulder and head have come down to the ground, press your left hand into the earth to tighten down on that twist in your middle back. Press down through your hand to come back up. Place the tops of your feet on the floor with toes touching. Slide your knees apart till they're just about as wide as your hips. And if possible, let your hips settle back down towards your heels and sit up on your feet. Now, if that's not possible, you can always come to a simple cross-legged stance because we're trying to target the middle of your chest, and you can do it from that stance as well. So from either this position or the simple cross-legged pose, walk your hands back and place your fingertips on the floor behind you. Take a moment to squeeze your shoulders back in together, and then take some attention to your breastbone. Lift up to the base of your ribs, slide your breastbone toward the chin to open up your chest. Either stay there, or if possible, lift your hips all the way upward in the air. Pull your belly in and stretch everything from the front of your pants upward to your chin. Press out through your knees and tuck your tail. And let your hips come all the way back down to the earth. Once you've done so, rise up to a high kneeling position, preparing for the camel's pose. Curl your toes under behind you. Make sure that your knees are right under your hip joint, and let your feet be just a slight bit wider than your hips for today. Now, with your hands on your waist, rotate your chest off to the right. Reach your left arm straight up to the ceiling. If you have any lower back sensitivity, that's the best place to stay. If it feels completely okay, reach your right hand back and capture the foot. Stretch at the diagonal over your left shoulder and breathe. Sweep your left hand down near the floor. Take your hands to the waist to come back to the center. Reach your right arm all the way up. Rotate left, and reach your right arm over the shoulder blade to stretch. Anytime you're twisting into a back bend, you need to be conscious of your lower back, so if it bothers you to go further, stay as you are. Otherwise, loop your left hand back there, see if you can fish around and try to grab your foot. Reach strongly through your right fingertips, and press downwards through your knees. Sweep your right hand down near the floor. Pop all the way up and out of that one there. Lean forward and slide your knees just a little further back so that when you shift your hips backward, your thighs are relatively vertical. Puppy dog stretch. Walk your hands forward. Try to keep your arms as straight as you can, and then gradually and systematically let your elbows drop toward the floor, as well as your chest, and potentially your chin. Sort of press that middle section of your back down toward the floor like a spoon and a cup of udon noodle soup. And for the moment, round your spine a little bit to lift your elbows up. Walk your hands all the way back so your shoulders are directly above your wrists. Shift backward to the high plank position. Lower down to your stomach. Hands, chest, and legs. Downward facing dog with your exhale. Now, if you know how to jump through your arms, go for that. Otherwise, take the easy way like me. Just drop your knees to the floor, cross your legs over and back, roll backward to a seated position, and extend both legs forward. Now, for the next cycle, we're going to be laying down on the back, so reach your arms directly forward. Round your spine and just roll all the way down to reclining. Recenter yourself on the mat if necessary, and bend your legs, reach forward, and attempt to touch your middle fingers to your heels again. Bend your arms to 90 degrees. As you press your elbows down, squeeze your shoulders under. And this time round, keep all parts of your feet touching the floor as you lift your hips upward into the air. Press your elbows down into the earth. With your hips still lifted, attempt to slide your knees further forward toward the front of your mat and breathe. Now, you are, of course, welcome to stay there, but if you want to go for the wheel, plant your hands on either side of your head. Leading with the bottom rim of your ribs, press all the way up and into the deeper variation of the pose. And again, breathe deep. Come all the way back down to the floor. Once you've done so, let your knees wave from one side to the other side repetitively. And then again, the bridge with your arms bent to 90 degrees and the shoulders tucked under. Press your elbows down to lift your hips. If you know you can do the wheel, go for that straight away. Plant your hands and press up again. If you want to make it a little more challenging, lift to the tiptoes and press your chest toward the wall that you're currently looking at. And relax to come all the way back down to the floor. Wave your knees from one side to the other side. If you want a slightly tighter wheel, you can always take a deeper stance. If you want to do that, reach forward and grab your ankles. Point your toes. Pull your feet back toward your bum until you're fully on your tiptoes. Now from there, the entrance is the same. Bend your arms and squeeze your shoulders under. Leading with your knees, lift your hips off of the ground. And if you're going for the wheel, plant your hands. Stay up there on your tiptoes. And once again, press all the way up to that. If you get up to straight arms, let your heels drop down toward the floor and keep breathing deep. Straighten your arms as much as you're able. Come all the way back down to the earth. Wave your knees from one side to the other side completely. All right, simple spinal twist after that. Now reach both arms completely out to your sides. Now slide your hips over to your left. Draw your knees toward your chest. Drop your knees over to the right. Take your hand to your legs and gaze out and to the left. Send your inhales into your ribs and relax on your exhales. Use an inhale to sweep your knees back up and slide your hips way over to your right there. And draw your knees toward your chest. Drop your knees left with your hand placed on your legs. Gaze out to the right and breathe. And then sweep your knees all the way back up. Grab a hold of your knees there. Rock up to a full seated position. Now I'm going to turn my body to face the camera for this next one because sometimes it's fairly helpful to be able to see it. It's Osteovakrasana, the crooked and 8 places pose. Now today, bend your legs and plant your feet flat on the ground. And then lift your feet off of the ground, swing your legs over to the left so that you're sort of seated at the diagonal. I did my right, so it looks like we're doing the same thing. Separate your knees so you have space between them. And then place your right hand on the floor behind you. I'm doing my left, but again, place your right hand behind. Reach your left arm straight up in the air. Thread the needle with your left arm, and then jam your wrist behind your right knee. Left wrist behind right knee. And let your knee fall over to the ground. Once you've done that, slide your buttocks over to the left a little bit. Make sure your hands are in a push-up position because that's your power point. And then for now, just rotate your torso open to the right. It'll give you a good spinal twist and the basis of the posture that we're going for. Now, if you're not feeling the arm balance today, just keep working on that for now. Otherwise, lean all the way forward until your ribs come to the ground, or at least very close to it. Lift your left leg up, place your left leg on top of right, and crisscross your ankles together. Now, once you've done that, slide your feet over to the side to lock your leg bones against your arm. Lean forward and press like crazy, and try to lift some portion of your body off the mat. Hold steady and breathe. And then from there, come all the way back down, press up, untangle yourself, and we'll try it on the other side. So with both legs bent, swing your legs well over to your right. Place your left hand outside your hip. You might have to adjust that as we continue on, but then reach your right arm straight up. Now, when you thread the needle, you always want to place your wrist behind the front knee. So jam right wrist behind left knee and let your knee drop all the way down to the floor. It's usually helpful to slide your buttocks a little further to the right, which helps you to maintain that strong push-up position. And then from there, start out with the basic twist. Just rotate your chest off to your left for a few. Now, sometimes it takes a few practices to get to the floor, so there's no rush at all. Just lean forward, get as close to that as possible. But if you can put your ribs on the floor, it'll be easier to hook the leg. So try to get them all the way down if you can. Now, if you're going on, hook your right leg over top of left, crisscross your ankles. And this is important. Really press out to your feet to lock your legs against your arm. Now, if you're leaning back and try to press, you're not going to go anywhere. So try to lean your head forward toward the ground, press through your hands, and sometimes some portion of your body will magically lift off of the ground. All the way back down to the floor. Press all the way up to come out. If you're facing the side of your mat, spin to face off to the edge again. Now today, extend both legs completely forward. Wrap your left knee over top of right for the cow face pose. Press your knees a bit closer together. You can keep your bottom leg straight if you like. Otherwise, draw your other foot back in similar fashion. Hold on to your feet like handlebars on a bicycle. And crazy glue your left sitting bone down to the ground. Sit up just a little taller, and then lean into it to stretch your hips. At the same time, slide your shoulder blades down, away from your ears, and toward your belt. And the next time you inhale, sit all the way up. Now, if you like, you can just flip your legs around the other direction. If you'd like to have some fun with it though, rotate your torso to the right and place your fingertips on the ground. Now you're going to attempt a 360. If you're going to try that, press down through your feet to lift your hips, spiral around toward the back of your mat, keep spinning and walking your hands over to your right, rotate your toes forward, crisscross your legs, and try to land in the same position facing the front of your mat. If you wind up facing the wrong side of the room, just fix that and make sure you're pointed forward with your right leg over top of left. Again, press your knees a bit closer together. With your feet drawn back near your sides, sit up just a little taller and fold over your legs beneath. For me, just a little forward lean feels great. You might need to lean forward more, but just lean until you get a good stretch in your hip. Try to keep your right sitting bone relatively anchored to the ground. Now, you can't be spinning in one direction and not the other. So sit all the way up. And if you did the 360 before, plant your hands near your left. Lean out toward your hands so that as you press down through your feet, you can use your hands to lift your hips. Spiral all the way around. Land facing the front of your mat with your legs crossed again. And then completely extend both legs forward. Now this time, either draw your right foot toward your left inner thigh, or if it feels completely okay with your knee, draw your foot back near your side so that your leg is bent. That might put a lot of pressure on your knee, so if so, go with the other one. From either position, roll your tail under a little bit, bend your left leg, and to take the heron's position, either grab the back of your knee, or your ankle, or potentially your foot. Sometimes it's helpful to have one hand behind you to help with the initial elevation. Then once you get your foot up, reach out there and try to grab it with both hands. Slide your shoulders down away from your ears toward your belt. Today, take just a little bit of a back bend with your chin all lifted, and breathe. And then bend in your lifted leg, take your foot all the way back down, and switch your legs positioning so that your left foot is either drawn inward to your inner thigh or drawn back near your side. Now today we're not really trying to get the leg to vertical, but even so, rolling your tail under a little bit will help the leg come higher upwards, closer to vertical. Bend your right leg out there. Remember, you can definitely use one hand like a kickstand if you like behind you. Pick your foot up. Now if that's really challenging, feel free to grab the back of your knee. The balance is feeling pretty good. Reach out there and grab your foot with both hands. Slide your shoulders down. Lift up through your chest, and as you take a slight back bend, lift your chin and roll it back as well. Deep breaths. And then bend your lifted leg, take your foot all the way back down, slide both legs forward to the front. Once you've done so, reach both arms directly ahead. Round your spine and roll all the way down your back to a full reclining posture. Once you're laying down, reach both your arms out to your sides. Bend your legs and plant your feet on the floor. Cross your right knee over top of left knee. So your legs are crossed just like they were in the cow face pose. Shift your hips over to the right and drop your knees over to the left. Try to keep your right shoulder anchored to the floor and gaze right while you twist. Use an inhale to sweep your knees back up. Unfurl your legs and then slide your hips way over to your left. Cross your left knee over top of right. And once you've done so, drop your knees to the right. Prioritize the chest stretch. Anchor your left shoulder down to the ground. As your knees move over there, they might not come anywhere close to touching the floor, which is fine. Gaze all the way out to the left as you hold. Then sweep your knees all the way back up. Center your hips with the midline of your mat. With your legs still bent and your feet on the floor, wiggle your ankles forward so your ankles are well ahead of your knees. Lift your gas pedals off the mat so only your heels are touching so far as your feet are concerned. Bend your arms to 90 degrees and roll your shoulders under. And then again, up there on your heels. Use an inhale to lift your hips straight up. Exhale, drop. 9 more for your hamstrings. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Squeeze at the top. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale upwards for 5. Squeeze your butt. Exhale. Inhale 4. Exhale. Inhale 3. Exhale. Inhale 2. Exhale. Inhale 1. Hold at the top with a big squeeze in your rear. And squeeze and just try to let it burn a little bit. And for the moment, come all the way back down to the ground. Let your eyes close and find your way to the corpse pose, lying flat out on your back on the floor. Feel free to make any final adjustments you need to so you can just get comfortable and still. Once those adjustments are made, just settle into the posture. Do one more scan, and if some body part needs to be shifted, some article of clothing needs to be moved, just go ahead and shift around as needs to be done. And let your breath return to normal rhythms and patterns. Take the next few moments to just focus on your breathing. So many years ago, I was on a trip to Tuscany with an old friend named Shimon. Shimon used to be a fighter pilot back in the day, and he had a lot of experience in the military. Now, when we were driving around the countryside, I was always astonished to look back and find that Shimon had fallen asleep. He would pop up when somebody saw something cool, he would take a look at it, and then a few moments later, he would be out for the count again. Now, at first, I assumed that he was just jet lagged, but as the week continued on, he continued to do that, so I asked him why he was falling asleep all the time. He looked at me and he said, "David, haven't you ever heard of a wolf nap before?" I was like, "Shimon, what is a wolf nap?" And he said that in the military, especially when you're a fighter pilot, sometimes you don't have a lot of time to sleep. So at some point, you get really, really good at taking just 3 or 4 minute naps. You do those repetitively, and while it's not as good as sleep, it helps you stay rested enough so you can fly the airplane. Now, in some ways, that really made sense to me because the yoga practice that we oftentimes finish with at the end of these classes is like that in some respect. It's called yoga nidra or the yogi sleep. Now, I think that you'll find in those days where you don't have time to take a nap, when you're really exhausted and you don't have a whole lot of time to focus on other stuff that might help you to wake up, just spending 10 or 15 minutes in this posture can actually make you feel pretty well rested. Well, in fact, many people have reported that it does really well in that respect. One of my other friends, Anne, used to work at Mass General Hospital. She worked on the night shift. She mentioned that she hardly ever had an opportunity to sleep through the full night, so between her shifts, she used to do this in 15-minute segments, and she said that it helped her to rest enough to get through the shifts without making mistakes. I think this is really important because we are all sleepless these days. We're all super short on time, so it's nice to know how to rest the body and the mind in a productive way when that occurs. Now, for now, if you will, just let everything get still and quiet. And for the next few moments, redirect all of your awareness to your eyes. Now, your mind is going to churn out lots of thoughts as you focus on your eyes, which is completely okay. Just try not to interact with your thinking. Instead, stay focused on the feature presentation of your eyes. Let your thoughts sort of play in the background like random conversations at a movie theater. As you stay focused on your eyes, just try not to get involved. And then next, shift awareness to your ears. Now, sometimes when I'm doing this concentration, I completely forget about my ears. When that happens, it's important to mindfully redirect. So as you're focusing on your earlobes, if you get lost in thought and completely forget about the fact that you're supposed to be focusing on your ears, try to let go of whatever thought has entangled you and redirect to your earlobes. And next, shift awareness to your nostrils. As you focus there, let your thoughts be there, but don't allow them to break your concentration. Do your best to stay focused on your nose the entire time. Right cheek and left cheek. Your thoughts are still there. Just don't let them disturb your concentration. Upper lip and lower lip. Upper teeth and lower teeth. Tip of your tongue. Middle of your throat. Tips of your shoulders. Elbows. Wrists. Palms of your hands. your fingertips. Shift awareness to your hips, kneecaps, ankles, bottoms of your feet, tips of your toes, right and left side of your body, back of your body, navel, center chest, tips of your shoulders, back of your neck, and mentally send awareness from your heart out to the palms of your hands. From your heart to the bottoms of your feet, from your heart to the base of the spine, and again up to the top of your head. There are many ways to alter your breath for different physiological and mental effects. I think pausing at the end of every exhale, though, is one of the most relaxing of all the different techniques. Very simple and something you can use whenever you need to fill at least a brief respite and a brief rest. And for the next few moments, as you continue lying there, just let your breathing patterns be normal and completely shallow. You don't have to breathe out all of your air with this, just relax and let your breath flood out to wherever it normally goes. But every time you exhale, hold your breath out until it becomes very slightly uncomfortable. Relax as you hold. When necessary, take another short inhale, another short exhale, and hold your breath out again. For the next few minutes, repeat that over and over, and every time you hold your breath out, relax mentally and physically. Just settle down deeply into your mat. Just like before, when your mind wanders, notice and redirect to the breath retention at the end of your exhales. And then for now, redirect all of your awareness to your whole body. And whenever you feel ready, let yourself gently roll over to one side. With both eyes closed, Press all the way back to a seated and cross-legged posture of some type. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person you dedicated today's practice to, and pray for or wish for their happiness and health. Take a moment to be thankful for another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.